Welcome to NuttieBuddie Sports.
But let's talk about the Miami Dolphins at the San Francisco 49ers. Part of the reason why I had you on today is because you are a Niners fan. I am a Dolphins fan, and both of our teams' winning record, both our teams sort of need this game. I don't think, kind of need this game. Just your team, I think, a little bit more so than my team, just because you're fighting against Seattle to get that division. And well, I don't know, because you're going to get a playoff spot because the NFC is bad. The AFC is a little bit more competitive. Maybe my team does need it more. So I'm like, let's talk about this. So let me just get your thoughts real quick on the game in general. What are you kind of looking forward to? Maybe some matchups or how you feeling about what your team needs to do to make it, get the win. Yeah, let's just start there. What are you looking forward to? What are some things you're looking for?
I have two things for this game. One, are the 49ers going to actually not do what they did against the Chiefs? Like when they played the Chiefs, instead of just manning, not that you want to man up the Dolphins, I'm just saying, against the Chiefs, you play man defense because none of their receivers can beat you. So the Niners came in and were like, we're the Niners, we play zone, blah, 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 blah. And Patrick Mahomes just chopped into pieces. So I'm hoping, whatever that plan is, that they have adjusted it for the Dolphins. And my adjustment would be, don't give up the big play. If the Dolphins want to go 20-20, which they probably are, kind of like they did last week. I mean, they put some points up, but they kicked quite a few field goals last week too. Is how I would play it. And to me, it comes down to red zone defense. Like the Dolphins, I looked it up. I left my note is also locked in the
bummer
under my tablet, but I can remember these ones. In the red zone, Tua is 27 of 42, 195 yards, 15 touchdowns, no interceptions. If you want to talk about same offense, Jimmy Garoppolo is 26 of 42 in the red zone, 185 yards, 12 touchdowns, 1 interception. If you can't tell, their offenses are similar, but
yep.
If the Niners defense can hold the Dolphins out of the end zone more than just a couple times, that's where I think they have the advantage of the Dolphins' speed disappears the closer you get to the goal line. If they can keep them outside of, make them drive the field, then I think they can get to them, especially with the injury to Armstead and that offensive line.
Yeah, it seems like he's out for the game already. That's kind of big. I'm for the Niners. I'm with you. I would like to add one more thing. Just keep the ball out of the offense's hand. Give your defense, don't have your defense constantly on the field, because that's where, as a Dolphin fan, I noticed defense is sort of slow because there's so much speed on the offensive side of the ball and you're chasing it all game. The Bills had the right sort of game plan. They should have won the game against the Dolphins because they had 90 some plays versus the Dolphins 30 some plays. Tua played good. He was 13 of 18, but he just didn't get the ball. But yeah, I would say, and I think that they could hold the ball. Elijah Mitchell, though, is out as well. So you're going to rely on McCaffrey. And I heard, maybe you can correct me on this, but I thought I heard that he was even in and out of last game.
He said he had his knee was irritated, but
which is not that's McCaffrey.
Great.
Yeah.
Great,
yeah. So that's a concern if you're the 49ers. The thing also that worries me is the Dolphins, they're not a very physical team, especially up front, even with Armstead, and that your front four is going to be able to create pressure. And I think Tua is not great or graceful under pressure, much like you would say Jimmy G. I'd say the same with Tua. Last week he gets sacked and he gets bent in half backwards and everyone thought he blew out his knees or something. It's nothing he does is eloquent when he goes to the ground. And it's a little nerve wracking. So I think this is going to be a real true test for the Dolphins. Now, Dolphins, I just think if they just allow themselves to play their game, I think they're going to get open looks, like in in every game, 10 to 20 yards. He gets people open. Limit turnovers, limit mistakes. That's important. And they've been really good at that. But I just feel like kind of like Jimmy G, Tua kind of throws the team one or two a game that they don't catch all the time. I will also say that I get this could be playing into the 49ers hands, but I'm for like take the points. Don't, because like I'm not, the Niners offense sometimes is stagnant, like that, to say the least, right? Like sometimes it just don't move the ball very well. So just keep putting as much pressure as you can on Jimmy G, whether it's, defensive line, sure, but like even like just putting points on the board. Hey, we got 6 points. You guys got 0. You got, you got to answer that. And no, that ain't a ton of pressure, but as the more points you score, I don't want, like, if it's 4th and 2 and you're on the 21-yard line, don't go for it and give that defense more things to be excited about, because if they get the momentum, I just think it's going to be hard for the Dolphins to score. I don't know. It's kind of the way I feel.
Yeah. Well, you might want to go for it. If I was watching the Saints game, I didn't realize this, but the worst team on 3rd or 4th and 1 in the NFL is the 49ers.
Oh, interesting.
They give up 3rd or 4th and 1 like crazy. But yeah, I think Eric Armstead might play in this game, which if he can, which would be even better. I mean, ideally, if I could come up with a game plan, I would just dare the Dolphins to run it 50 times. I wouldn't even care if they ran it for 5 yards a carry until you got into the red zone, and then you could negate some of that speed. If I was the Dolphins, I agree with you. I would take points wherever I could get them. If I was the 49ers, I would play aggressive, because the Dolphins are a team, not that Tua is Mahomes or Josh Allen, but the Dolphins are a team that I hate playing against, because the 49ers, they'll drive it all the way down and they'll be up 6-0. They'll be dominating the first quarter and a half, and then Tyreek Hill will catch a screen and go 90 yards. And you're like, oh, look, we're losing, even though we have totally dominated this, similar to how they played the Broncos game earlier in the year, or the Bears game. They were mopping those teams up and down the field, but couldn't put points on the board, or just kicked a couple field goals and then one play and it's gone. So I agree they should run it. But if I was the Niners, I would come out pass happy in this game, because I think the Dolphins are going to try to play the run, and I would spread them, and I would air Jimmy until he throws a pick six in the first play, and then you're like, oh well, this game's over. But I would be aggressive against the Dolphins, because I don't think their defense is that good. Their DVOA wasn't they 25th against the pass, 16th against the run, something like. I wish I had my sheet in front of me. I was looking at all of us. So I would go at them. But I don't know what they'll do. They'll probably just play conservative like they normally do and go down on the first drive and kick a field goal and celebrate.
Yeah, I would say you're not wrong about the defense, because the secondary is kind of thin. We've Dolphins have had a lot of injuries on the defensive side of the ball. I will say it's hard to sort of gauge how good their defense is going to turn out, just because Bradley Chubb has made a difference on that defense. So, and he's only been there a week, technically 2 weeks. I know he was traded 3 weeks ago, but the first week he was in and out. He didn't play a whole lot. But I don't I think it'll be interesting. I don't know if throwing the ball a ton is the way to go, but it could work.
They don't throw it deep anyhow, so it's not like they throw it to score.
Right.
Jimmy doesn't throw it more than 20. So it'd be like, oh look, 6-yard slant.
What I would be interested is the Niners are like, hey, on defense especially, you said they're a zone defense, and that works for Tua. Tua picks apart the zone defense like no one else. Like he's like, that's one thing he's really good, anticipating, reading the defense, getting the ball out quickly, and finding the holes in the zone. And when you have guys like Tyreek and Waddle, and they get open very quickly because of their speed and their quickness. I'd be interested if they went. One thing I want to see is if they went man to man and like press coverage and was like, Tua, we dare you to throw the ball deep. That's what I kind of want to see the Niners do. Partly because I want to see if Tua can do it and burn the Niners. But like partly I don't think he can do it. See, that's like, I don't know if you've watched any of like the Dolphins deep balls. So 40 yards in, Tua's been really good, but anything like deep, it's just, I don't know, underthrown. Although he did throw a really good one this past week that was like dropped. I'm like, okay, where's that? It was like a 43-yard pass or something like that. But anyway, point being, I would be curious if they would switch it up to man and just do press coverage and dare Tua to like try to throw it deep, because he doesn't really have the arm for it.
Both teams should just do it, and we can watch Jimmy Garoppolo and Tua try to throw it deep and be like, oh, deep, oh, underthrow it again.
Yeah, that'd be great.
There was 8 pass interference flags because every pass was short. Yeah. See, I just worry. I know Tua's good against zone, and the 49, like Ward, okay. I mean, he's not going to shut down Tyreek Hill. Maybe slow down Waddle. I mean, maybe I would man up Waddle. I would put Ward on Waddle and just bracket Tyreek Hill. I don't know. Like, I get what you're saying, but like, I don't trust the 49ers second cornerback, like man on man. Like, I know, Tua can't throw it deep, but I could just picture like 2 or 3 where the ball just bounces in the air and like, oh, look, there's Jalen Waddle or Mike Gesicki because he's 6'6". Down the middle type of plays. I think I would just maybe be more aggressive in my zone. I maybe bring heat because it's more of a detriment because he's left-handed. So Bosa's coming off into his throwing hand now without Armstead. So if he can be on this game, like, all right, then the Dolphins are in trouble if Tua only has, zone or no zone. If he's only got a couple seconds, then they're getting in on him. He can't step into these throws, and he throws a little high a couple times. But that goes for Jimmy Garoppolo. I mean, these are basically like left and right-handed version of the same person almost. It's kind of funny. Tua probably being at least he's mobile, so I don't know. I don't have faith in this game. This just reminds me of 49ers games of the past where you're like, they're probably going to go in. The defense is going to look good for 3 quarters. The Niners are going to run the ball. Kittle's going to have a touchdown. Debo's going to, he'll probably get more runs this game. And you're going to be like, oh, it's 21-17. And then 3rd and 18 in the Super Bowl. And like Tua's just going to throw a prayer and be like, oh, look, there's Tyreek Hill again, wide open in the out there. So.
Or your safety Tart there drops the interception, and then he throws a touchdown the next play.
Yeah.
I actually look at us as pessimistic fans because I feel the same. I do not feel good about this game. I feel like the style of play that the Niners play on defense especially is the type of thing that like the Bengals played earlier this year against Tua before he got that second concussion. And we only scored 4 field goals up to that point. Like we couldn't get the ball in the end zone because of and Tua was getting hit. It was the same defense the Bills were sort of playing, like physical. We can rush 4, get to them quickly. So I'm kind of nervous about that with the Niners. If you can rush 4, get to them quickly, it disrupts the offense. Now they can move the ball still, like they've shown they can still move the ball, but it's especially when you get down where the field starts to shrink and the holes get in the zone, it gets shorter because you don't have to play so far out. I think that's when it definitely rears its ugly head as far as like getting pressure into so yeah, I don't know. It will be super interesting because like you said, not only is it the same teams, but a lot of players that played for the Niners are playing for the Dolphins, like Jeff Wilson and Mostert. So yeah, we'll see. Anything else to add before we predict the game?
If it was Arizona Cardinals week 49ers from 2 weeks ago, I would be like, all right, I think they're going to like not put it to them like 31-3, put it to them, but like 31-17, put it to them. We're like, all right, we already know who's going to win this game, but the Dolphins are going to move the ball. But if you get New Orleans Saints, 49ers offense where you're like, I don't even know what we're doing in some stretches of these games. Then you're like, oh, look, it's 13-12 because the Dolphins have kicked 4 field goals and now we're going to lose because they have the ball at the end. I don't know. This is where my faith of I can never be those fans that are like, oh, but our defense is so good and no Armstead and we have Bosa and all this Brett Warner, and you're like, yeah, but like I've also watched plenty of games where you're like, what are we? I just watched the Chiefs game again. This is the Patrick Mahomes, but I'm like, I just watched the Chiefs game where our defense looked like the Packers on Sunday night. Like, oh, well, whatever, you get a first down, go ahead, go score a touchdown. So that worries me that McDaniels. I mean, they both know each other, so it's not like there's any secrets here where anything's like hidden. But I don't know.
I'm with you, man. I'm the opposite of you though with the Dolphins. Just like, I don't know. It's that this is where, like, as a fan of this team for all these years, this is where you expect disappointment. Like, I'm trying to be realistic about it too. I understand Tua has been great this year. He has limitations, and sometimes, like, it just makes, to me, it also makes more sense that both teams are 7-4 versus the Dolphins being 8-3. You know what I'm saying? Although Tua has not lost a game this season where he start and finished the game. So he's undefeated. So we'll see if that continues.
A couple more years, and he's going to be the total morph of Jimmy Garoppolo. The Dolphins are 71-5 when Jimmy Garoppolo's. Like you're like, oh, they win when he plays though. And I would, yeah, we got to the playoffs.
Yeah, the only thing I would say that different about the amount, and again, as much as I've watched Jimmy G, so take it for what it is that I just feel like Tua, if someone's open, he's much more like accurate. Like he's just going to hit it. He's going to get the guy the ball. There was a beautiful pass he threw. And I'm not saying Jimmy G has never thrown these passes, but like this last week and Waddle dropped it, but it was like right over the linebacker and the linebacker jumped. And like it went right over his hand and Waddle like right there and he drops it, but it should have been a catch. I think he was surprised that Tua fit the ball over the top of the linebacker. But like one thing I'll say about Tua, he is very, very accurate in his if the first throw is there, it's going to be out. He's going to hit his guy, and they'll probably get he like has averages 9 yards a pass play. So basically every time he throws the ball, you're basically getting a first down when he completes it. So it's going to be interesting, but I just don't think, I think if you can get pressure with the 4 guys and your defense can cover relatively well, I think that's where the Dolphins fall apart. So, we'll see.
I don't actually think we should pick this game. We should just pick an over of under of dropped interceptions between the two teams, and then the closest one wins. Because I think there's going to be Jimmy, especially if the Dolphins can get some pressure in this game, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe he dropped that. And I'm sure if they're pressuring Tua, he's going to, throw a couple prayers up there, and you're going to go, oh my gosh. But
no, I agree. He did that this last week against Houston. There was. I remember one distinctly that I'm like, oh, I can't believe he threw that ball. But yeah. Well, we're going to pick the game anyway. I would say over under 3.5 interceptions, like would be interceptions, I should say 3.5. So that'd be
combined interceptions and would be. I'll take the over.
Okay. But let's pick the game. Who do you got? Who are you picking?
I'll go with the 49ers. I really, before we recorded, I was going to come in and be like, I'm going to pick the Dolphins just to make it hard on you. But I don't know. With Armstead being out, it just makes me think maybe they can get enough general pressure, especially in the red zone, like we talked about. If you can get down there, negate the speed, and then get pressure with 4 and drop the other 7 into coverage, like, okay, you negate some of the chicanery that Mike McDaniels is going to run. So for that reason, I will go with the Niners.
I am going to go with the Niners as well. I know I should be like the homer on this podcast and pick my team, but Niners are also at home. I just feel like they have the recipe on defense that can cause the Dolphins offense to have problems. Now, it's been a while since we've seen the Dolphins have a challenge like this as well, which could be like a culture shock to them. I think it might be a little shocking. Like, oh, this is what a real team is. Like, if you think of the last couple games, they had like the Bears, the Lions, the Browns, and the Texans. And it's like, okay, now we're getting a legit team and a legit defensive team as well. I just think it's going to be a little rough for them. They're on the road. I have the Niners winning. I texted you earlier, 27-17. I'm going to say 27-23. I think that the Dolphins will be able to keep it a little bit closer than that, but I'm going to go 49ers as well.
And then we can throw it all out because both guys are going to outthink each other, and they're going to just throw it deep 8 times in this game. Like Jimmy's going to attempt 2 or 3 deep throws, and we're going to be like, I don't know what's going on. And they're like, oh, we tried to outsmart each other.
Yeah. We're like, oh, they're going to take the short stuff away, so let's throw it deep. It's like to his deep ball is like 34.5 yards. Okay, man. Anything else?
Thanks so much for watching Clint and I break down some of the keys that we think are going to be a factor in the Miami Dolphins playing against the San Francisco 49ers. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Let us know in the comments down below. Let us know who do you think is going to win and what are the keys to victory for both teams. If you'd like to listen to the rest of the podcast, please click on one of the links down below. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, and we'll talk to you guys real soon.